Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to season 3, episode 2 of the Real Talk Show with Marsha-Ann. I am so happy that here we are again sharing this beautiful day, and I believe it's so significant that you have chosen to give your time in an effort for us to connect. For those of you who are joining for the very, very first time, welcome to Real Talk. Real Talk is a space that truly has come about from my heart and me being obedient to what God has told me to do, which is to create a space to ensure that I engage, encourage, and empower all of us as women to ensure that we're truly living a life of purpose, passion, and prosperity. Last week, I hope you caught that episode about just start. And I hope that this last week, there are things that you did to just start. I want to see by a comment that you're in the building. Yes, thank you so much for joining. I am so happy that you are here. Welcome, welcome. And I hope that last week's episode afforded you to make a decision to just start something, like even if it meant one thing, and that you have stuck with it. So, without any further ado, this episode of Real Talk is meant to enrich your soul. It's meant to speak truth. It's meant to be the real talk. And we're going to hear from an incredible, who I refer to as a true live wire. Yes, thank you. We are back. We're back for season 3. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you're here. But yes, this particular dynamo woman is real fire. And I say that because I find that she has the personality that is just always so vibrant. She's an encourager. I find that her faith, she is very open about constantly speaking about what God has done to transform her life and continues to do. And isn't that all of us? All of us are those who are surrendering and we're saying to God, listen, use me in one way or another so that my purpose can truly be fulfilled. So I want, hi there, welcome. I love it. I love it. Come in the front seat. Those of you who are joining, fill up the front row. You know you're my faithful people. And I don't take that for granted at all. Remember, at the end of this, don't forget, one of the things that I really want to do in this season, now that I have accepted my call, that I really want to have this space for us to be able to encourage and empower and educate and equip one another. Do take the time out to forward the YouTube link to someone else. Share it in your stories. Share it with someone who you believe can make it happen. Yes, Cheryl, 2 live wires. So with that said, we're going to connect 2 live wires together. I want you to have her feel the true Real Talk vibe, the Real Talk family. Give her the round of applause as I am about to pull up a part of her bio. I made it clear to her that I can't read her entire bio, but I'm going to pull up a part of her bio. But do make her feel welcome on stage, Megan Della Concha. Megan.
Hello.
Hi there. Megan is joining us from South Florida, the Tampa
Yes.
Bay area. And I want everybody to make Megan feel the love that we are known for in Real Talk. Drop it in the chat. Welcome, 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 Megan. And we're really happy that you have said yes. And no, Megan doesn't come alone. Megan has a little bun in the oven.
Yes.
And she has made it very clear that she does like to talk, which I know as a fact. But beyond that, she might get so excited and slightly breathless. And I tell her that this is a space where we give one another grace and we definitely take care of each other. So, Megan, I'm only going to read a brief part of your bio. because nobody can do it as effectively as you can. This is your story, right? But
Yes.
Megan de la Concha is a women's empowerment and confidence coach. Megan's purpose and mission is to guide highly motivated, purpose driven women push through limiting beliefs, self doubt. I know I've been there, and fear. I know I've been there, so that they can live the life they want boldly, confidently, and purposefully. For those of us who have had any form of limiting belief, please put a double hands up in the chat on my behalf, because I still have that and I'm working through it. So this is really great that you have joined us for this. Megan grew up in a conservative Christian household, but due to trauma-induced anxiety, she found herself in a 7-year relationship surrounded by drug abuse and domestic violence in her early to late 20s, suffering emotional, verbal, mental, and physical abuse. And after losing her identity, voice, and self worth, Megan divinely landed in therapy, where she spent 2 years of hard work rediscovering herself. Tapping into her faith and her relationship with God, Megan has since earned 3 master's degrees in public health, focusing on alternative medicine and mental health. Megan is now a wife and mother of 2, soon to be 3, who was raised and she still resides in sunny Florida. And this is where I'm going to leave the cliffhanger. Because when I met Megan, she was actually working in her healthcare job for 14 years. And then she took a leap of faith, stepped away, and started her own thing. She'll be able to speak more on that later in the program. First, I want to thank you for being so transparent in your bio. I want to also recognize that today is World Mental Health Day.
Yes.
And I believe that we downplay the impact of our life's journey and the impact it has on our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite timely that you're going to talk to us about pushing through our limiting beliefs to become unstoppable. But it's really over to you now, Megan. Take it away. Tell us everything we need to know and more.
Oh, well, Marsha-Ann, it is long overdue, but perfect timing that we are here today on this very special day. And I love how it all came together. So thank you so much for reaching out again and again and asking me, and that we found this amazing, perfect time, because his time is always perfect.
Amen.
Even when we think ours is.
Mm-hmm.
So I am so happy to be here. And I love what you said, because that just hit the nail on the head. That is the core of why I'm doing what I'm doing and taking that leap of faith and becoming an empowerment and confidence coach, especially for women, because we do take for granted our life's story and that it serves a purpose. We are not just here on this earth to just live day in and day out and check all the boxes and do all the things that we think we're supposed to do based on what our culture says, what society says, what our parents, generations, our friends have said. We are here living a life of purpose. And so many of us overlook that purpose because of limiting beliefs and because of self-doubt. Huge, right? Both hands up.
Yep.
And because of fear. And when we look back on the decisions that we make in this life, for me especially dealing with anxiety, I made every single decision, huge life decisions, out of fear.
Wow.
And so God brought me on this journey, which of course we will get into. And that's what led me to be where I am today. He has led me into a wild pack of beautiful, strong, confident women, which is where I met you.
Yes.
In our business program, Purpose the Platform, and hi to all the Purpose the Platform sisters. And it has just been a game changer. And that is where I really honed in on what my purpose was. And I finally, for the first time in forever of my life, I took a chance on myself and my faith. And that's what has landed me here today, resigning from my 14 plus years of healthcare which I went to school to get my master's to be in this career. And I was in the middle of, I was unhappy with my job because I was unfulfilled, but I had a great job. You know, I was in the middle of climbing the ladder. I was literally training, in the middle of training to become placed in a promotion that would put me on the pathway to a hospital director, which is what I had been working towards the last 14 years. And the reason why is because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Right? I thought I was supposed to go to school, go to college, get an education, and then get a career based off that education and just rise the ranks. I never ever thought about having my own business until I found my purpose. So it was definitely a leap of faith, but it was the best and still is the best decision that I have ever made. And it's been my entire life's journey that's brought me to this exact place here talking with you.
Wow. Megan, tell us about what it felt like to have felt unfulfilled. You describe feeling unfulfilled. You were doing the job.
Yes.
You had the degrees, but yet still you felt unfulfilled. What were you feeling, and how did you know you wanted more?
Looking back now, I have always felt that I did all the things I was supposed to do. I had a good childhood growing up. We lived in a church. I went to a private school. I had no problems with my circle of friends. I excelled in academics, in sports. I carried that over into college. You know, I felt like I was doing all of the things in life that I was supposed to be doing. And looking back now, there was always something that was just there, a void that I was trying to fill it with all of these other things, whether it was continuing my education, whether it was, you know, even going out, spending money, right? We like to do that, different relationships. Just switching careers, switching jobs. I was trying to do everything outward, but it was like that little hole in my heart was like oil, and I kept trying to fill it with water or vinegar, and it just wasn't mixing. No matter what I did, I was happy. I could name all of the things around me that I was like, I am so utterly grateful for, and I really was. It didn't mean that everything in my life was falling apart. I felt I was living the life I was supposed to be living. I was doing all of the right things. And I just felt like there was always just something missing. And due to my past, and due to anxiety, and due to the abusive and toxic relationship that I was in, I never fully understood who I was. So I was never aware of what it was I needed or what it was I even wanted. Everything I wanted came from what I thought I should want. You know, it was either trying to mirror my life to society, to mirror my life to a specific person or group of people, you know, and trying, like, they're happy, let me get this. If I just have this, I'll be happy. If I just have a really good relationship, if a boyfriend, I'll be happy, you know, a house, all of the things. And it just was never, ever enough. And I just remember I kind of kept ignoring it, thinking maybe this is just a part of my life and I have to keep growing. I was healing from a very traumatic relationship. And so that kind of seemed to fill the void temporarily. But when I got back to doing the work and finding out and really discovering who it was that I am and how I show up in this world, that hole got bigger because I was more aware. And all of the things that surrounded that hole, they just seemed to turn to gray. I was still grateful for them, but they didn't matter. And I could no longer ignore that there is something in my life that is missing. And I remember so vividly in my last job, in my former job that I resigned from, driving to work, and it was a short drive, and I just cried. Like, I just started bawling, crying and saying, God, like, what do you want from me? Because I don't know. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I was the first one in my family to go graduate and have a bachelor's, let alone 3 masters. I have a great degree. I was in a relationship with my now husband. I had 1 kid already. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, why do I feel this way? What is wrong with me? And it wasn't until I had that conversation with God that he was like, okay, now you have acknowledged that you are unfulfilled and that there is more of a purpose for you. And so let's get to work. And I think that's really the first step, because God is ready, right? But he prepares you. Life is just training, and it's practice, and it's preparing. And so he waits so patiently on the sidelines, nudging you a little by little, maybe uncomfortable, maybe you realize that maybe you don't, until you get to the point where you are just like, I don't know. I'm done being self-sufficient because it's not working. And from that point on is when I promise you, the doors just opened up and he took my hand, and I didn't have to go searching through programs, searching through files. I didn't have to, like, finding a needle in the haystack. He led me right to where I was. But it wasn't until I acknowledged that this feeling of having everything that I wanted and I was working towards, but it wasn't in alignment. I felt like I kept just missing the mark no matter what I did. And he gently removed things little by little by little until I just could not ignore this feeling anymore. But that also came through healing and doing the work on myself, because if you don't do the work on yourself to really dig deep and go back to what makes you you, and finding your identity, not your identity wrapped up in a role. Who we are, we're not a mom. That doesn't describe who I am. I'm not a career woman. I'm not a wife, right? I'm Megan. Those are just roles that I play in my life. But when we don't know who we are, and we don't know what we want and what we desire and what we need to grow within, we wrap our identities up in these different roles, and then we start acting according to these roles. And then we start wanting things that we feel a mom would want, or a career woman should be doing or acting, or what a wife should be wearing or saying, And so it's not until you do that deep inner work that you can really uncover what makes the life that you want. How do you want to show up in this world? And then that's the next step to just saying, okay, this is what I want. This is what I need. Let me set those goals, set those boundaries, right? Set those habits, set those routines, and start paving that way to your most fulfilled life, where you're confidently going forward and you're doing it out of boldness, regardless of what anybody else says, because you're so true to you. Like, nothing can shake that. It's just that authentic, unshakable confidence that it doesn't matter what anybody says. It really doesn't. Because at the end of the night, I lay my head on that pillow and I'm just like snug as a bug in a rug, But that's what it really came down to is just feeling, and you can't ignore it. And the more you ignore it, the more God is going to give you these lessons in life to make sure you feel that. And a lot of people live their whole life and just settle and say, these are just the cards that God gave me. This is just how my life went. And right, those are our limiting beliefs. Those are our doubts. Those are our excuses, right? Those are us trying to reason our way out. But if you're constantly making excuses for yourself, if you're constantly trying to reason or talk yourself out of something, that's when you should be the most aware, because something is tugging at you. And instead of resisting it and trying to deny it and shove it deep down, saying, well, this is just my life, I could never do that, I'm too old, it's too late, I don't want to start all over, you are going to live in that cycle for the rest of your life. And you don't have to do that.
That's a fact.
Yes.
You have to take control.
Yeah.
But that's not until we face the elephant in the room.
That's right. That's right. And that's why the verbiage that I use when I describe who I am and who I serve is pushing women, help pushing them through, because the only way to get to the other side is going through something. And I know, hands down, my whole life, I have been trying to go over, under, around. I mean, I tried to excuse it. I tried to deny my past. I tried, for instance, coming out of that very toxic and abusive relationship in my 20s. And I went to therapy and I learned a lot about the behavior of an alcoholic narcissist, which is what I was dealing with. Ooh. And why, double whammy. And why I was not necessarily drawn to that behavior, but what was in me that allowed that behavior. And I'm sensitive in saying that because I don't want that to come off as, you're allowing this and you're blaming yourself, or it was my fault at all. It was definitely a mixture of, we all know narcissists, they prey and they are master manipulators. Yes. And so the place that I was in my life and where he was at, it was a perfect storm. And so I went to therapy to understand why his actions were and why my reaction was the way that it was. And then we really got into the depths of just really uncovering who Megan was, who Megan is, and who Megan wants to be. And so I did a lot of healing from that. And I grew so incredibly, so much. I mean, just even my physical self was manifesting what I was going through. When I left that relationship, I moved in with my parents. Thank God I had the support in a totally different county, because it is like rehabbing from drugs. And you have to remove yourself from the people, from the county. You have to move away. And luckily I had the support system to do that with my son. And staying away from that allowed me to really heal. And so I was 100 pounds when I moved back home. I wasn't eating. It was awful. It was really like detoxing. And through the therapy process, I remember the first time I sat down with her, I was shaking physically. I could not stop shaking because it was like the toxins leaving my body. Wow. And yes, it was really physical. Like there was no light in my eyes. My face was all sunken in. It was just physically devastating for my parents to even see me like that. But with my therapist, I remember leaving and she was just like, you are like a sunflower. And my favorite flower is a sunflower. She's like, you are so bright. You are you. Like, this is amazing. This is who you are, who you've always been. Let's go with that. But as my journey continued and I, reestablished and I created new, meaningful, lasting relationships, including friendships and intimate relationships, with my boyfriend, who is now my husband, for a while, I didn't share with him that 7 years. That 7 years, I denied it. I never talked about it. I wanted to delete it from my life because I thought if I had healed from this, what is the purpose of bringing it up into the new relationship, into something new, right? I was so focused on why would I want to live in the past? And why would I want to bring the pain into something that is so beautiful? But again, I was missing the mark. And what I learned quickly is that you're not bringing the pain of your past to your future. You're bringing the power of your past to your future. You are not reliving. You are not a victim of your past anymore. And so because I was healed, gave me all the more reason to usher in this story, because I sat and thought about it and said, there is absolutely no way that I went through what I went through to be where I am now and to be silent. It doesn't make sense. There is no way. And the more I began to open up about my experience, the more women like I remember sitting down at the bank and I was opening up a brand new bank account, and the woman I was speaking with, just, I don't even know how we got on the subject, but we had just gotten on the subject of what I went through and my healing process. And she took down my number and was texting me and was like, can I contact you? Because I'm going through the same thing. And she was like, my current boyfriend is abusive and I want to leave, but I'm so scared. She was going through the same thing. And I want to say, looking back, she was like my first client.
Wow.
I really helped coach her. And that's when I realized this is not about me anymore. This is not about me. So I need to stop making it about me. And that's when you find that this is the empowerment process. This is why I went through what I went through, because I would never be this strong of a woman to be able to have the relationships in my life, to be able to be the mom that I want to be able to be this businesswoman, to have the head on my shoulders. I would never, ever tap into this power had I not been through that pain.
Man, that is so powerful.
It is.
And a big part of what you're saying is the limiting belief would have made you think, let me not talk about it. Let me not carry it. I know the importance of how liberating it is to speak your truth.
Yes, absolutely.
And so many of us as women will put a lid on speaking our truth because of fear, shame, control, fear of judgment, so instead hide it. But the power of your past allows us to be propelled is a jewel and a gem from this talk tonight, for sure.
Yeah.
Because look at you today.
Yeah. I know. I never ever would have even imagined being in this position. I knew I was going to be okay, because I like to say that I was burnt down to ashes, but he could never take my spirit. And even though my spirit was barely alive, it was alive. It might have been a little ember, just a little tiny flame, but it never ever went out. And that was God, right? That was the Holy Spirit in me. I didn't know that at the time because I didn't have the relationship with God at the time as I do now. And it really is like a phoenix rising from the ashes, because what happened is God just blew a little bit and a little bit on that ember, and that fire just started going, and it started roaring and roaring. And the journey, and trust me, I've realized so many things about my childhood. I never felt validated in my feelings. I never felt that who I was ever good enough for anybody. And so I didn't realize this until going through this healing process, that, I would mimic other people. I have a very distinct laugh that people have described as like a jackhammer or a dolphin laugh. And as a kid, people would make fun of it, and I was so sensitive to that. So I would stand in the mirror and practice my laugh for hours to make it not seem like that. Now people are like, oh, I can tell that's Megan in the background. And I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Wow.
But I never realized that I was always trying to be somebody else, because I never felt comfortable in just who I was. And then I sheltered that and I buried that so deep, and I never trusted my feelings. So if you feel like decisions are really, really hard for you to make and they're really burdensome, even easy decisions, it's because you don't trust yourself. And then what happens is, those limiting beliefs were set in from an early age. And then all that did is, when you believe something, it's almost like when you decide to get a car and then all of a sudden you see the car that you want on the road, right? It's like that. When you start to believe something is true, then every experience that you have is going to reconfirm that belief. And then you have no choice to be like, it's absolutely true. Look at example A, look at example B, look at this in my life. That happened because of this, right? And so we start to confirm in our beliefs, and then we start to act out in our beliefs, and we start looking for things because we so desperately want something to counteract what we believe. Like, I am good enough. I am validated. And so that is essentially what got me into this relationship, was looking for validation, looking for someone to accept me, to see me, to hear me in all the wrong ways. Right. And so when I went back and realized that it really started from a very young age, and it just grew and it grew and it grew. It was all limiting beliefs. It was all self-doubt. It was all a fear, and an irrational fear at that led me to pretty much kind of destroying my life, what it seemed like at one point. But then going from that to healing, and once you're on that healing train, baby, it's a one-way ticket. That's all there. Once that train leaves the station is gone, burned down. You're not going back to it.
Right.
And you keep riding it, and it's bumpy and it's rocky. And I wanted to be the victim. I wanted to be really bitter. I wanted to not believe in love again. I wanted to be really, really selfish, but I couldn't, because I was going through the journey of finding my own self. And I was like, you know what? I know who I was before this. And it's that spirit. And I'm going to take that spirit, and I'm going to love that spirit, and I'm going to nourish that spirit, and I'm going to accept that spirit. I'm going to accept who Megan is at this point in time, flaws and all. And honey, I still got my flaws, but I accept every single one of them, because that lays the groundwork for growth. And I never want to stop growing. If I'm done growing, I had better be in heaven. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you fully. My goodness, your openness is so important for all of us, Megan. Today I had reason to share with somebody that we must remember that everybody has a story.
Absolutely.
Like, everyone we meet have a story. And stories are not to be compared. Somebody's is worse than mine, or theirs is worse than ours, or just accept that everyone has a story.
Yep.
But what is compelling about what you've shared as well is to go back to the root. Like, we have to trace the why we have the specific limiting beliefs that we do.
Yes.
In an effort to really determine, how do we take that next step? Like, how did you begin to believe and accept? You're like, God, all right, I told you now. I'm on that train. I'm out of here. And you begin to pick up momentum. But I believe believing in ourselves is a continuous journey.
Oh,
What are
100.
your thoughts on that? Because there are things that will come and rock our world. But when do you have that conviction to go, listen, set these boundaries, make them clear, don't break them? Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. So yes, it's your whole life journey: self-acceptance, self-love, building your confidence. There's never like a bell that you're going to go ring and say, I'm done. I won the race. I'm good. I'm going to go sit back now. It's a constant journey. And for me, I was so sick and tired of trying to do everything and not getting the results that I wanted, meaning I kept feeling unfulfilled no matter what I did. And even my education, I love my education. I love teaching, and I love learning, and I love researching. But I will honestly say, a lot of pursuing my second and third masters was because I was looking for something. I again, validating my feelings, proving that I'm worthy, proving that I'm smart. Look at me, right? I was hiding behind the identity of, I'm Megan and I have 3 masters, and now I'm going to get this career, right? It's all about chasing after the wrong things. So when I had that conversation and said, God, what do you want from me? I really had to accept the fact that what it was I was doing, regardless of my life, it wasn't working. And I had no idea where to start. But the only thing I could think of, and the only thing I think that God placed on my heart, was to do something different. So I just started becoming more aware of, what is it that Megan really wants? Write it down, journal it, envision it. And this is before I practiced yoga and meditation and affirmations. But I would really I would constantly, intentionally turn that compass inward all the time. And I would say, okay, if I got in a fight with a friend or an argument, what was my natural reaction to that? What would my natural reaction be? It would be to lash out. It would be to have my voice heard. I had to get on my podium. I had to have the mic in my hand. Listen, I know you don't, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, that wasn't working because I wasn't happy in my friendships. And so what was I going to do differently? And I would just start literally doing the opposite of what I had always done. So if I wanted to go after something and I knew that, here I go with the same excuses again. Oh, I've heard this before. Here goes Megan. You can't do this because you don't have enough money. You don't have enough time. You're starting over. You're so far into your career. You have your degrees that back up your career. You need to just keep pushing forward. I recognize that those were all excuses. So that when I started down that road, what was the one thing that told me that I needed to go do what it was I was scared of doing, right? And even in relationships, I would not be and have the marriage that I have today had I not done the self-growth. And I was so sick and tired of acting in this same needy, codependent way where I would lose myself. I was really good on my own, but then as soon as I got into a relationship, all these insecurities came out. And I was so sick and tired of being fearful of those and acting on those insecurities that I would just make myself do something different. I would make myself believe something different. And when that happens, when you just tell yourself, no, I refuse to believe that, and I'm going to act this way. I'm not going to lash out via text. I'm actually going to keep my cool. I'm going to shut my mouth and I'm going to be on my merry little way. Those little tiny pebbles start to build a mountain of self-awareness, self-acceptance. And that's when you start building the confidence, because you go through these fears, you push through these fears and these limiting beliefs, and you realize I'm okay. As a matter of fact, I'm better than okay. It didn't hurt as much as I thought it was going to hurt. This is actually exciting. I can actually see this happening. I actually got a different response, and I feel in alignment. For the first time, you're going to feel like you're in alignment with who you are, because you're acting from the heart. You're acting from who you are, not your inner child that is fearful and full of insecurities and full of doubt and full of these stories that we tell ourselves over and over and over again, that we create this unrealistic reality for us. And we live in that. We open the door, we live, and we talk like that, and we act like that. And once that starts to open, then you realize this feels really good and this feels really bad. And so I was able to actually cut off relationships in a very loving and kind way. And even though in the moment it hurt and it was confusing, because some of them God just up and moved out of my life, and I'm like, what? Now I'm all alone. And then I was like, oh, I'm like, this actually feels really good. And I'm like, I like this feeling. I'm actually more myself. Now I have it's just like, it's a freedom. It's little by little, those shackles are being broken of what was binding you, that often go unnoticed because you've lived in a cycle for so long. And then what happens is somebody else comes in your life and you go, I've recognized that feeling before. I'm not going to mess with that person because I already know what the outcome is. And so boom, a boundary is set. Right. And that carries over and over, and it just builds upon itself. It has there's no other choice to just build upon itself. And you keep going and you keep going. And of course we hear the term new levels, new devils, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you get through all of what you're dealing with right now, and you get through that pile of muck, you wash off, you're good, you're healing, you're making big girl moves, you're making money moves, you're like, I'm in control of my life, I'm getting my life together. And then bam, all of a sudden it seems like a new wave of insecurities are coming. I experience them on the daily. It doesn't mean that they're going to go away. That's life. That is
Right.
life. We can't live in a reality where we think that we're never going to have a negative thought again. We're never going to act out of alignment again. We're never going to be confused or frustrated. That is just a part of life. But the difference is now you know how to handle it confidently. It's not going to be, it might take you a few days to come to a decision, but it's really just a few days for you to really acknowledge that intuition. And you've built up that intuition and that trust in yourself so much because you know who you are that you're like, yeah, that's going to be a no for me. Or absolutely, yes, put me down. Let's do it like yesterday. And so you can help, you can guide your life and live the life exactly in the way that you want it. Instead of you feeling that life is controlling you and everybody is out to get you and everyone's mean and everyone's this and every guy I date is the same old guy. Well, honey, let's look at that. Why? Why
Right.
do you have the things in your life? And then when you're able to navigate that, every day your confidence grows. Every day your resilience grows. So things are going to come, but they're not going to shake you to the core. Like it would break me, right? If one bad thing happened in my day, my anxiety would go through the roof and I was in my bed crying. Oh my gosh, like my life is over, right? But once you build that resilience and once you build that confidence, you are totally able to manage these new levels and these new insecurities that come up and say, you know what? That's a lie. That's a lie. And it's okay that I'm thinking this way because I already know what the truth is. So I'm going to go ahead and make space for this insecurity to live because that's a part of life, right?
Right.
I'm aware of it, but I'm not going to act on it. I'm not going to let that hold me back because I know deep down what the truth is. Maybe I need to do a little bit more, personal development or some more meditation, or just maybe I need to do a little bit more self-care. Like, why am I feeling like I need a little bit more TLC? And it just, again, it builds and it rolls on itself that you can just really create and live who it is you are and how you show up in this world.
I think Megan, what's important to also highlight is that approach is applicable personally and professionally.
Yes.
Right? Because so often it is believed that, okay, let me strengthen myself over here. But the strength in you has to be a wholesome strength.
Yes.
Which allows us, to your point, if someone is going to enter your space, regardless of it being personal or professional, and you know that energy or approach is off, you really pray that you become so discerning to know dark from light.
That's right.
To know good from evil. To know what's good for you and what's not. And to protect your peace at all costs and protect your energy and protect your mind.
Yes. Yes. 100%. So many times, so often, I'm sure you have done it. I have done it myself, where I've tried to change all of the outside things.
Right.
To change on the inside. Well, if my money situation changed, I would be more happy. If my career had changed, if my relationships changed, if I had better friendships, if I had more time to be a better mom I try to change all the outside things. It does not work like that. It is absolutely impossible. So when you do the inner work, when you do that internal, like you said, the wholesome change, then everything around you will start to change exactly how you need it and want it to change in order to be in alignment with you. And I take my clients through that same exact journey of what is it that you're allowing and accepting in your life? What is it that you do on a daily basis that you don't want to do, but you feel obligated to do, right? And we go through all of this stuff, and then they write job descriptions for who they want in their life, because your life is like a business. And just like a business, they interview you, they ask you questions, right? Why should I pay you? Why should I give you benefits, insurance, pay, PTO to come here? What are you going to do for this business? How are you going to act? Who are you going to be? And it's like, we have to approach that in the same way in our lives is, if I give you my time and my energy and my space, and I introduce you and bring you into a place that I love with the people that I love, what makes you valuable to my life? And it's obviously not asking people these questions, but you instantly know, like you said, discernment. Discernment is something I pray for every single day because it is so important. There was a time where I let everybody and anybody come into my life, and I was like, well, I love everyone, and I'm just an open person. And it's like, no. But then I would wonder why they would take, and I would just be left empty. And then I would blame them. I had to hold myself accountable and say, well, you need to go through and say, this is what I'm not going to allow anymore. This is what I'm not going to accept or tolerate anymore. And I'm fine by that because you can be on your merry little way. And this is what I'm going to accept. And this is what I'm going to allow. And this is what I'm going to nurture. And then it kind of turns into like a magnet, because the people who really do want to come manipulate you, you're not giving off that energy. So they just kind of slide by you. Like, they're just like, they don't even see you. They're like, oh no, I'm definitely not on her level. Let me just look the other way.
Yep.
So it really is, like you said, you're constantly protecting your peace and your energy, which is so vital to your life, to your family's life. And boundaries don't have to be harsh and rigid and like, I'm going to cut this person off and we're not. Boundaries actually come out of love and kindness and compassion. And they're sometimes they're soft, sometimes they are harsh in certain situations. But when you start to protect that peace and energy around you, you are just allowing everything to flow into your life and people that are just meant to be there.
Fact. Absolute fact. It's so funny that I think boundaries, I don't know if it's just me, but I believe boundaries became more a part of everyone's conversation in the last couple of years. I don't remember growing up hearing about boundaries to the point where, don't just set them, but keep them. But I believe we've become so conscious about what we should and should not be accepting, and also how we're teaching people how to treat us.
Yeah.
So if folks have been able to get away with stuff for a long time, what part have I played in that process?
Absolutely. Yes.
And those are some important questions what we must ask ourselves in an effort to truly become unstoppable.
That's right. That's right. Accountability, awareness, and acceptance are the three key foundational items for you to just stop and say, you know what? This is who I am in this moment. This is the space that I'm in. And this is where I begin from. If you don't know where you're starting from, how do you think you know where you're going?
Right.
You're not. You're going to go in circles and keep passing the starting line, and you're not collecting $2. You're losing $2 every time you pass go.
Wow. Yeah.
You're going deeper into the negative. And so a lot of people think that by taking accountability and by accepting, that this life is just not okay with them. This relationship is just not serving them. This friendship, this career. I don't care if you've been doing it 50 years. I really don't. If people think that by accepting it, they equate that to settling. They think, well, if I accept this, then it just means I'm settling. Absolutely not. It just means it's giving you a starting point to say, this is where I'm at. This is what I love about my life. This is what I love about who I am, genuinely, truly. This is what I don't necessarily like. This is what I want to change. And it gives you the first time, it shines a light on the blueprint to the life that you want, where you can actually hold it up. And now you have accountability to say, what can I do to grow, to stretch myself, to become better at this, to be more giving, to be more loving, to set boundaries? What can I do to find what it is that I want to do with my career? because that in return is just going to make you an amazing friend, a wonderful partner, an awesome mom, or whatever roles you play in life. They are just going to blossom because of the internal work that you're doing. And again, all those pieces start to fall together. And I agree with you. The boundaries conversation is something I never ever heard of. I never even knew like a boundary. You mean like coloring within the lines type of thing? Like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. So I really experienced setting boundaries, probably more so within the last year of really stepping out in faith and opening my business, because you really do have to protect your peace and your energy. And you really do. I really realized what I was accepting in my life. And then I was getting mad at that person, but I was the one accepting it, right?
Yep.
So it was taking that good hard look. But that's the beauty of it, because you can change that. And once it's changed, like once you know better, you do better. And that's just life. That's just life from here on out. Every time I know better, I'm going to make an effort to do better.
If you were to give an assignment for all of us to do, to make an assessment, like of ourselves, where we are now. In the very beginning of this, you spoke about, why was Megan the way she was?
Mm-hmm.
Why is Megan the way she is? And really, who does Megan want to be? That was a part of when you were on your journey. And every day we're on this journey. But if you were to give an assignment to us to say, it's time to do a self-reflection and make an assessment of your limiting beliefs, or make an assessment of where you are today and where you want to go, what would you say to us today?
Well, I will tell you what I did personally for my own self, and that I still do today. And then I also teach my clients this as well, is you're going to put yourself in a state of being vulnerable. If this is something that you're really being honest with yourself about for the very first time, it's going to bring up emotions. So I encourage you, as you're doing this exercise, to really intentionally make, and even if you have to like put a bucket next to you, like make a physical space, right? Make a space for feelings that are going to come up of, I feel guilty, I feel ashamed, I feel embarrassed, I don't feel good, I'm disgusted with myself. I want you to hold those feelings, not as the truth, because it's not, but I want you just to take them and place them in a space for you, whether it's a mental space that you're envisioning, or if you really want to put like a trash can next to you and say, you just kind of sit there for a while. And what I would do is I would really get into a place where you can be completely honest with yourself and write out what your life looks like today. And it's okay. A lot of us are so afraid. Again, there's that fear word. We're so afraid to acknowledge and accept different things in our life, because once you do acknowledge and accept them, then you have a choice to make, right? Because once you know, you can't unknow. And for example, I was in that relationship for so long because I refused to accept and acknowledge what my reality was, to the point where I was getting high every day. Every day. I was self-medicating because I could not accept the reality, because I was too scared to do something about it. I was too scared. I didn't want to accept that this is what I was really in. And so I understand completely what it's like. But when you're ready, I want you to really write out in your life, all areas of your life, your career, your finances, your relationship, you, especially you. If you want to start with one category, just pick you. And I want you to write how you feel when you look in the mirror, how you feel when you wake up, how you feel when you go to bed, how you feel how you handle conflict. Do you gossip, right? Are you toxic to other people? Because I was as well. How do you react versus respond? Do you feel like your stomach is clenched all day long? Are you crying all day long? Are you driving to work crying? I mean, just be real with yourself. Nothing is gonna change in that moment. It's just you, yourself, and putting that on paper. And then once that's out there and you hold yourself and you take those feelings, because those feelings are going to come, and you create a space for that. Then what I want to do is either on the back of that paper, page, 5 pages, whatever it comes out to be, because I know mine's like 10 pages long. Then I want you to write the reverse. And if you're like, well, I don't really know what I want. I don't know what it is I need. All you do is you take what you've written and you just write the opposite. You know, I want to not feel anxious every day. It's simple as that. I want to have a loving, lasting relationship where I can be 100% myself. You know, I want a career that I absolutely love, that I know is going to be stressful at times, but that I just am filled with this joy and this peace. This is what I want. And don't feel silly writing it, because it's all possible. And we all make excuses like, I can never get that. That's not real life. That's not reality. I don't care if you believe it's a fairy tale. Write it down. Write it down. And that right there is going to say, this is what I'm currently living, and I do not deserve that. And this is what I want. And when you compare those things side by side, that awakens, that cracks a little bit of that awareness. And now you can start to make choices about your life. You can start to make decisions about, what are you doing? What are you willing to do? What do you want to keep? What do you want to remove? And how are you going to do that? And I love this process. It's a very deep dive. And I love holding hands with my clients in this process, because I'm constantly reminding them on how to teach them grace, hence the program name, Ashes to Grace, because that is so important, that we hold a space for grace for our own selves, and that we're constantly forgiving ourselves. We're constantly honoring, respecting, and celebrating ourselves. So if I had one exercise to figure out what your life really looks like, that's the one I would start with.
That's a big one, though, because it's really going layer by layer by layer.
Absolutely. It is. That's the only way to get there. Yeah. Little by little, a little becomes a lot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My goodness, you have given us a real solid overview. Megan, tell us a little bit more about your program. Tell us about your podcast. And tell us anything else that we need to know beyond today, whether it's connecting with you. Tell us whatever else we need to know, because here's a recap about your 3 A's: accountability, awareness, and acceptance.
Yes.
And it's really important for all of those points. Nothing is going to change until we choose to change.
That's right. That's right.
Really.
That's right.
Nothing will change until we choose to change.
Yes.
And that's the bottom line.
Absolutely. And there's power. Again, it's all power, right?
Yeah.
It's power to choose. You have the amazing opportunity to choose. So whether you continue to stay in the cycle that you're in, I'm sorry to tell you, but you can't complain anymore, because that's your choice. This is now your choice. Or you can choose to do something different, right? So if you do decide to do that exercise, I am happy to be there for you. If you're hitting roadblocks and you need somebody to walk you through that, you can reach out to me. DM on Facebook or Instagram is the best way. So on Facebook, you can just find me under my name, Megan De La Concha. I do have a private Facebook page called A Space for Grace. It's just a separate page. It's a really intimate group to where we can be vulnerable, where it is a safe space. We can talk about these things openly. But please send me a direct message. Instagram is at Megan De La Concha. Send me a message there. I'm happy to connect with you. I'll reach back out to you, and I'm happy to walk you through that process. I know it's scary. I know it brings up a lot of stuff, and I know we kind of need someone there to be like, it's okay. I got you. You're not alone. I understand that wholeheartedly. So I want to make myself available to you if you decide to do that exercise. Obviously, no obligation, nothing like that. I am here. That's my purpose, is to serve you. My program I'm super excited about, because I have reshaped and I have combined a hybrid program. So I took my private coaching and I took my group coaching and I made it into one amazing, confidence-filled, empowering, intensive 8 8-week program that
Wow.
combines a self-study with live coaching with me. And it has amazing video modules. It has workbooks. You have full-time messaging support. You have a very small, intimate group. This program could get huge. It definitely has the potential, but I am intentionally keeping it small because I want to continue to create that really intimate atmosphere of being able to open up and be vulnerable, because that's the only way you're going to get that transformation that you want. So I do intentionally keep the group small, up to six people at a time. And again, you have the live coaching with me, and then you have a couple of amazing bonuses that are going to be pushed through upon enrollment. I don't have a launch date yet. I am going on maternity leave in February. So I am either going to really light the fire under my behind and launch in November or December, or it'll be after February, but I think it's going to be sooner than later. So I am really, really excited about this program. I've had clients in the past that have taken both the group coaching and then separate clients that have taken the private. And the core of it is exactly the same. So I'm so excited to bring it to everybody in a combined way. That just brings awesome value, where we can just sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya, and we can cry and we can laugh and we can be snotty and we can celebrate who we are. So I am super, super excited. There is a website on my Instagram bio, and you can sign up for my email. So people who are on my email list will get to have the launch details first, and will get a first chance to enroll. So if you're not on my email list, go there, sign up. I do not inundate you with emails. It's maybe once, twice a week. Or you can also find me on my podcast, which is called Pep Talks with Megan De La Concha. It is on YouTube, and it is also on all your listening platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts for my Android users, and a couple of other different platforms. But go check it out. And I too, Marsha-Ann, am rolling out season 3 shortly. So I'm right behind you.
There you go. There you go. That's brilliant. Megan, this was a lot of information. I really believe that the exercise is going to be crucial for us to do.
Absolutely.
The whole issue of accountability, awareness, and acceptance is key.
Yes.
And today, more than ever, really, we have to accept being honest with ourselves. I believe the spirit of sisterhood is more important today than it has been in years.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely to embrace that there is power in the pain that we've gone through to propel us into our purpose.
That's right.
And the ones, so often we will cage up our feelings and our experiences, and that cage is a barrier to growing.
Yes.
And so if we're going to lift our limiting beliefs and become unstoppable, which is the core of what we've spoken of, it starts with coming to terms, not with the roles we play, as you said, but with who we are. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
An exercise I think I would want all of us to add to that. And it's an exercise I have done a few times in the past, both personally and in a forum, is for us to attempt to introduce ourselves on paper without talking about the roles that we occupy.
Yes.
It is so big, because the moment we begin by saying, I am in this capacity at my job, I'm a mom of X, I'm a spouse of this, I'm the daughter of that, I went to this school, but who are you?
Right. Nailed it. Yes, 100%. 100%. And you'll find when you remove those identities, when you move those roles, sometimes you are like, who am I?
Correct.
And then it's hard for us to say, I am amazing.
Right.
I am a confident woman. I am successful. We get tripped up over that because we've covered it with these roles. And Everybody does that. Who is Megan? Well, I'm a mom and I am a business owner. No, I didn't ask what you did. I asked who
Correct.
you are.
Correct. And so I would love everybody to add that to the exercise.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's so important for all of us to get back to the basics and then begin to celebrate who we really are.
Yes.
Because
That's
without
right.
everything else, we've got to be the cheese that stands up
Yes.
in our
Amen.
own skin and as happy as ever. So, Megan, thank you so much
You're
for
so
joining.
welcome.
I'm happy that you did. Real Talk family, tell Megan, drop it in the chat. Tell her thank you, thank you, thank you. You all will get a chance to see this real replay on YouTube. Share it with others as well.
Yes.
And Megan, thanks for the transparency about your journey, about your story. And more importantly, let us remember that the greatness that's within us is not made up of the things that we do, but who we actually are.
That's
And I
right.
believe that the greatness that resides in all of us is just waiting on us to activate it and take it to the next level. So,
Yes.
without any further ado, y'all know where to find Megan. Go back to my Instagram page and you will be able to see that she's actually tagged on my post. And I want to thank my Real Talk family. Thank you so much for joining for yet another episode. You have no idea how much I value how you commit this time to me every Sunday, whether it's a solo episode or we have an amazing guest, but you show up, and this show could not happen without you. Again, make sure you share this, like, subscribe, comment, share. Let's get the word out because at the end of the day, oh my goodness, I thought about you today, CP. Let's get the word out there so that other women can understand that we have a space where we can engage, encourage, and empower one another. Truly about being used as a guide to transform your life to one of purpose, passion, and prosperity. So, with that, we've ended another episode of Real Talk with Marsha-Ann. Thank you so much for joining. Megan, they're commenting and giving you the applause. Thanks again, everyone. Take care. Be blessed.
Aw.
Megan, stay online. Don't hang up,
Yes.
and I will end I'll end the broadcast. Thanks, everyone. Take care
Thank
and rich
you.
blessings. Have a smashing week. Do your homework, and whatever you started last week, let's connect this episode to this because we're all going to finishing strong. All right.
That's right.
Take care. Be blessed. Bye bye now.